We are fully immersed in the 1920s, taking on one of the toughest challenges in all of TEW IX. We just finished up with the biggest event of the year, and there is a ton of aftermath awaiting, as we have got one of our most eventful episodes to date. Just as we were beginning to turn our company around, we get a massive wrench thrown into all of our plans. Is our company even going to be able to survive? You don't want to miss this one. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me on this TEW save. As stated just previously, we are just following the biggest event of the year. We are now in April 1927. We have a new junior heavyweight champion, and Bronson Fraley has once again, for the second year in a row, conquered the Derby, and we've got the makings of a big episode here. However, we do have some housekeeping things that we got to take care of. The first thing I will say, since this is the front page, I helped our boy Sorley Monaghan out. I wanted to see his company last a little bit longer. I didn't want it to go under in 5 years. We replenished his cash stack from negative 20,000 up to 0. So Monaghan's Marvelous Wrestling will live on despite the front headlines indicating otherwise. The second bit of housekeeping is our man Black Bull has got a stale gimmick now. So we're going to go to his gimmick details, and we're just going to tweak his gimmick just a little bit. He's very marketable still. He still gets a small boost to charisma. It's been tweaked once. We're going to give it some time to see what is needed after that. But hopefully that helps our man out. He is happy. You'll love to see it. I already know. I'm already sold on Friedrich Herzog. The other 3 additions from the Derby, I'm not entirely sold on. But Friedrich Herzog, we are going to renegotiate his contract. We're going to offer him 9 more months worth of shows, worth of appearances, worth of work for the German Friedrich Herzog. So roughly he should end right at the new year, right around there, maybe a little bit after. But that will give us a good indicator, and maybe we're going to keep him, maybe we're going to re-sign him again, but he is 42 years old. So I don't want to stack the deck with a bunch of older talent, because Levi Andrews and Alexander Keith are both on the higher side of 40. But we're going to make the offer, and we'll hear back from this man soon, I'm sure. We're also paying for his travel, so that's another variable that I don't necessarily want to be tied to forever. If he does end up going back to SPW, I don't want to have to release him and then damage the relationship that he has, causing him to not want to come back. He is annoyed right now. Unfortunately, we don't have any creative ideas that are not gambles, or else I would try to help our boy out, but I don't want to worsen his morale if he's already annoyed. If he was irritated, I might try it. But John Wolf, the class clown personality, I like having his personality around the locker room. Randy Edson actually took part in a positive interaction backstage, so he gets extra points there. And then Lane Starr, the man who lied about his weight, is actually a junior heavyweight, not a heavyweight, but he snuck in. That's all we're going to say about that. We're getting straight into the preparations of the Amazing Grappling Spectacle 26. And we gave Rahan Suttle the night off, and our locker room incidents consist of Kelvin Gebhardt provoking Frankie Ashby into a heated argument. We're going to find Kelvin Gebhardt had had a small positive impact upon this man, and he's pleased, in fact, and Frankie Ashby is as well. That's it for the locker room incident. They can see that Frank Norris is being a bit more stern. He's handing out the fines, and the locker room morale in general is just getting a little bit better. But we're going to address the locker room. We're going to try to pull a rib. It doesn't work for us very often, but I don't feel great about doing anything else. Black Bull is a bit of a sensitive guy, but he is happy, so he might be able to take that. But it went down well with the rest of the locker room, but as you can see, it backfired here. He was happy, so he may not be happy any longer. We're going to have to see about that. Nah, he's still happy. He's good. Now we can get going with the next episode of the Amazing Grappling Spectacle, 26th edition. And our show opens up with Bronson Fraley and Frank Norris, with Bronson Fraley gifting another strongman display to the crowd, as well as posing with this heavyweight championship. Frank Norris would explain that it will take some time before Bronson Fraley will defend his championship again, as a worthy competitor will need to be determined, though with the best interest of the fans in mind, Frank Norris will continue to parade the champion around, getting him in the ring, even if not in competition. So we see the champ soaking in the bit of adulation, and he certainly plays to the fans. Bronson Fraley is a showman in the ring, absolutely. And despite this loose perception of faces and heels right now, Bronson Fraley is extremely arrogant and has many traits of a heel, though he does often get positive receptions. So that gets our crowd going, then the show off to a hot start with a segment rating of 26. First match of the night is Black Bull and Benson Sandy, and they turn in a segment rating of 23. Benson Sandy actually defeats Black Bull with a roll-up. Bryant Hines, our boy, did some good work in the managerial role ringside, and Black Bull taking another loss, and he has been on quite the downturn as of late. He did pick up the victory in the Derby qualifier. However, other than that, it has been tough going for the boy. And after the loss, we can see that Frank Norris is clearly disappointed in Black Bull, as Black Bull is supposed to be his special attraction. And he certainly isn't afraid to show it, as he was seen shaking his head at the curtain before heading to the back on his own. And our next match, some junior heavyweight division action. RT Lincoln back in the ring against Kyson Mays, and this is probably the worst match that we've had featuring RT Lincoln so far. However, these two do have good chemistry, but they only got a segment rating of 17, even though the crowd was set up pretty well for him. Kyson Mays with an in-ring performance of 20, RT Lincoln had a 17, but we do see a victory, a clean victory out of Kyson Mays, and that may help him going forward. RT Lincoln, I think he's still yet to get a victory, but hang in there, kid. In the next segment, pre-match, Super Demon calls out Kyson Mays and states that he too has his eyes on Albie Dewberry's championship. And so it did go without saying previously that Kyson Mays is looking to be a contender of the new champion Albie Dewberry's junior heavyweight championship. So Super Demon, just in a quick pre-match segment, states that he also wants to be in contention. And he's got a great opportunity to get noticed, because we've got a tag team match with the champ and Wayne Blankenship teaming up to face off against Lane Star and Super Demon. We had a decent reaction from the crowd, subpar wrestling, but Dewberry and Blankenship pick up the victory after Albie Dewberry forced Lane Star to submit. So Lane Star had an in-ring performance of 12. He was really lacking here, but the other three, they did great here. Dewberry 37, Blankenship 30, and Super Demon 28. Blankenship and Albie Dewberry showed excellent chemistry as a team, and we didn't get a hit for Albie Dewberry and Super Demon not having good chemistry. So unfortunately, I don't know if the personalities and egos of Wayne Blankenship and Albie Dewberry are always going to be able to form this team, but man, these guys are great in the ring together, whether they are opponents or partners, it seems. But we got a segment rating of 27 to kick us back up. In the next segment, Super Demon, clearly frustrated after another loss, he just straight up slaps Lane Star across the face after the match before heading back up to the entrance ramp, so just a little bit of tension there between Super Demon and Lane Star. Next segment, Neil Allman, Levi Andrews with a match rating of 14. Really unfortunate, but the match was very short, less than 5 minutes. Neil Allman had an in-ring performance of 28, Levi Andrews had an in-ring performance of 34. And this match between Neil Allman and Levi Andrews is built upon their interaction over the last couple months, where Levi Andrews was kind of berating Neil Allman, and then also kind of rubbing it in the fact that he once again came up short in his pursuit of the heavyweight championship. They had a slight physical altercation when Neil Allman launched Levi Andrews across the ring. So that is where this match came from, and they're able to get this aggression out. Neil Allman just dominates this thing. But nevertheless, Neil Allman picks up a main event victory, and anytime he can do that, it's a big deal, but it's not the end of our night here. As you can see, we've got a segment featuring the Bootleggers. Following his victory over Levi Andrews, Neil Allman had no time to celebrate, as he was ambushed by all three members of the Bootleggers. The group of criminals would leave Neil Allman in a bad state, getting a bit of vengeance for his interference at the last show. So if you watched the last episode, Neil Allman intervened, caused a distraction for Alexander Keith during a title match, getting, a little bit of built up payback from a year ago, but Alexander Keith is not going to take that, and neither are his boys, the Bootleggers, Charlie Thompson and Frankie Ashby. So we end the night with a segment rating of 25, not the worst way to end the night. However, that main event certainly is not going to do us any favors. With a segment rating of 14, you can see we did not get any popularity increases from this show with our show overall rating of 20. And if you're liking the series, please give some support and like the video down below. Subscribe to the channel so you know when our next video comes out. So we're going to address the locker room and tell Neil Allman and Super Demon that they did a great job. We're down $36 from this event, but that is it for that iteration of the amazing grappling spectacle. And you see that Lane Star is in fact gone from the Wham, and I'm not entirely sure if we're going to bring him back. However, I am feeling pretty good about Randy Edson, and I'm going to at least try to sign him to another contract. We're going to go with 5 more appearances from Randy Edson, and we'll see what he has to say about that. And John Wolf as well, we're going to give him another 5 appearances for our boy. And I have decided to trim the fat a little bit of Kelvin Gebhardt. Granted, he is one of the few people that is happy now that morale is back in question, but he does have that bully personality type, a major negative natural impact on the backstage environment. So we aren't even going to restructure his contract, we're just going to release him, because I don't think we're going to need Kelvin Gebhardt really going forward, especially with some of our new heavyweights that we got on the roster. And within all this red, you can see that Keith Truex also has a mildly negative influence, and we really haven't used him really at all. He's got good star quality, but that's really the only thing he's got going for him aside from his stamina, athleticism. But those fundamentals are so poor, he really has trouble in the ring. So despite the fact that he has a professional personality type, he is contributing negatively to the locker room. And I think we're also going to release Keith Truex. And one of the final things I want to do before we move into our next event is I think we're at the point, now that we have moved up from insignificant to tiny, we can raise our ticket prices, and I'm going to go with cheap, so we can still get a good amount of fans, and we're going to see if we can profit from that. And we might even play around with the normal price as well in this episode, and truly see what we can get away with and what our profit margins would look like with both options. But as you can see, our most recent event, it was not the best event that we've had, but it garnered 112 people. So our lineup is starting to generate enough interest to get that kind of consistent attendance, and we're just going to have to see what happens. We did hear back from Herzog and John Wolf, and they both agreed with our extensions. Herzog is going to be 9 months with however many appearances, and John Wolf is specifically 5 appearances total. Christopher Hartwell changes his style. This is a guy that we've got our eyes on, and once we can afford to add a sleazy personality, a negative personality type, I think I'm going to bring this guy in because he's got decent popularity for the area, he's got pretty good skills, and he's been around the save for quite a while. He's a former SPW guy, and as you can see, he's been staying busy throughout the years, but we're not quite there yet. And Randy Edson accepted his extension as well, so we extended 3 of the 4 signings for the Derby 2. Lane Starr is sitting in free agency right now. And some very unfortunate news, Alexander Keith went from just fine to very, very angry very, very quickly. And he has decided to walk out on the wham. He is a free spirit. The man is gone. It's unfortunate. As his scandal ended, he's not even considered toxic anymore. He didn't even get poached by another company. He just left. So we are losing one of our biggest draws. And I can tell you right now, that's going to throw a wrench in the main event and in the existence of the bootleggers. Not entirely, but what they were recognized as before. But there's nothing we can do about it now. I'm not going to go back and change anything. I don't even know if that's possible to truly change someone's contract if they don't want to be involved with the company. But we're going to delete that. And you thought losing Gary Cowell was bad. Well, now we've lost a main eventer. We didn't give anyone the night off. We got a few character ideas, and the locker room incidents consist of Friedrich Herzog spreading rumors about Kyson Mays. We're going to give him a stern warning. Nothing noteworthy came from it. Black Bull got into a fight with Frankie Ashby. We're going to fine him. Frankie Ashby is pleased. Nothing from Black Bull. And Corey Edmonds has gotten a lot of heat with the rest of the locker room. We're going to fine him. He is unhappy at the situation and had a small negative impact on him. That's unfortunate. We cannot be losing our road agent. RT Lincoln and Yavraj Tunnell got into a huge row and had to be physically separated. That's unfortunate because I had plans of them locking up this evening. And Levi Andrews and Brian Hatcher got into a heated argument, so the backstage incidents are jumping tonight. And we're going to try to inspire the boys. We're going to try to bring everyone together and have a great show, because you know what? Things are a little out of whack here in the Wham right now after Alexander Keith walking out. The man always staying in the headlines, that's for sure. And as the world turns without Alexander Keith, we are going straight into the Amazing Grappling Spectacle 27. You can see with the loss of Alexander Keith, we lost about 15 fans or so, as we've only got 89 here. Bronson Fraley and Black Bull open up the show by displaying impressive feats of strength and posing for the crowd. Frank Norris would then inquire if anyone in the crowd believes Black Bull is as powerful as he claims. The crowd would respond loudly to this notion, and Frank Norris, while working the crowd, was casting some serious doubt on his special attraction. We know we got a little bit of tension between Frank Norris and Black Bull, and Frank Norris would then announce that he has a match in store featuring Black Bull. And Black Bull wasn't quite ready for this, he was not informed. But we go into a handicap match, and it doesn't turn out too great, unfortunately. We've got Brian Hatcher and Randy Edson. They defeat Black Bull in a handicap match, just under 7 minutes. Brian Hatcher picks up the pin, and we were hoping to work the crowd, but that segment got him hot enough and they didn't need it, so we got penalized there. Black Bull in-ring performance of 28, Randy Edson in-ring performance of 24, and Hatcher with an in-ring performance of 22. You put it all together, they get an in-ring performance of 14, unfortunately. So not the best numbers that we were hoping for there, but we do get some story development as Black Bull taking another loss, and there may be some doubt with Frank Norris and his special attraction. Moving on to the next match, we've got some junior heavyweight division action. We've got RT Lincoln and Yavraj Tunnel. RT Lincoln was off of his game, and we forgot to take Rahan Suttle out of the spotlight for the referee, though I think it is worth mentioning that it shows here that he wasn't very good as a referee, rather than he was awful at referee. The man does have a referee skill of like 20 nowadays. So it has grown, and the penalty is not as severe, but it's still not what we want to see. The segment rating just gets us 20, although the T-Man does pick up a victory here. In the next segment, this finally lifts us up here. Levi Andrews, looking battered and beaten up following his match with Neil Allman last month, denounces the heavyweight, calling him mentally adolescent. He would apologize to the crowd, stating that they didn't deserve to suffer the loss of the presence of Levi Andrews, blaming Neil Allman and calling him unethical. So Levi Andrews got what was coming to him after talking that shit on Neil Allman, and he is denouncing Neil Allman because of it. And then we have the next segment. This would technically be in between the entrances of our next match, but Wayne Blankenship has made his way out to the ring to spectate this next match. He did not engage with either wrestler or imply what his intentions are, and that match is in fact Albie Dewberry and Kyson Mays. Albie Dewberry defending his junior heavyweight championship for the very first time. It is a successful defense. It was a 9-minute match, and Albie Dewberry had an in-ring performance of 41. A spectacular performance, all things considered, for the boy Albie Dewberry. Kyson Mays was off his game, and he only had an in-ring performance of 20, but we do need to build some of these other junior heavyweights. That's not Wayne Blankenship and Albie Dewberry. However, we do have Blankenship ringside spectating this match. And after this match, Dewberry and Blankenship remain deadlocked in a standoff, with neither man moving or giving in. No words are said, but the tension between these two has been wound right back up. So we're not necessarily diving into a one-on-one rivalry again with Dewberry and Blankenship, but there is just a little bit left between these two. And then our main event has got Neil Allman in a tag team match alongside Friedrich Herzog, going up against the bootleggers Charlie Thompson and Frankie Ashby. Now this match had to be 6.5 minutes because Friedrich Herzog's stamina is literally a 26 rating. And so we've got very little time to get his appearance in, but Friedrich Herzog delivers in those 6.5 minutes. 55 in-ring performance, Neil Allman with a 38, Frankie Ashby with a 30, so he learned some over at CWB, and Charlie Thompson with a 23. Neil Allman and Friedrich Herzog showed excellent chemistry teaming together, so you love to see that. And we screwed up here by having Rahan Suttle in the referee spot. I thought I switched it out, but I apparently not. But overall, these guys deliver a great match to end the show, ending it on a strong foot as the show gets an overall rating of 32, and we do increase our popularity. So we're going to tell Friedrich Herzog and Albie Dewberry that they are awesome. We are down $220 from this show, despite pretty decent ticket sales at $712, and we get some popularity increase in the spillover, but not in the Mid-South. And we see that the feedback from our show has been mainly positive, and the company has won many friends. We'll take that. We need as many friends as we can get after Alexander Keith walked out on us, that bastard. Corey Edmonds is angry, and we're going to give him a creative idea so he does not leave the company just like others have. Likely to succeed. It was a success. He's still angry. We're going to give him another one because we've got a near certainty. It was a success. He's still angry. Holy wow. And you can see that toxic backstage atmosphere. He doesn't like it, and he does not like the handling of that backstage incident that we had with him. He does have the mercenary personality, so maybe if we give him a small bonus, let's give him 25 bucks. It did result in a boost to morale, but he's still angry. Nothing. So hopefully he doesn't walk out on us. That'd be awfully disappointing. And we don't even really have any viable options to replace him at Road Agent should he leave, because Victor Garza is a scumbag, and we don't want to bring that in. And Jay Letter, of course, works for SPW. We're going to change Rahan Suttle's contract. Granted, I've got some serious sentimental value to this man because we started with 0 referee skill, and he's worked his way up all the way to 25. But he wants to live in Mexico anyway. I know we've got him currently under contract. And thank you to Immense Degree for the comment. And if this is true, that we don't have to pay for his travel since we started not paying his travel when the contract was agreed upon, which would totally make sense, then we're not even paying for his travel right now, but we're going to let this man spread his wings and be free. We're going to negotiate one more appearance, and we're probably going to have to pay for his travel for this one. But I do not want things to end on a bad note between us and Rahan Suttle, so I'm willing to pay the travel for his last appearance, and hopefully that will eliminate one more negative influence on our backstage morale. Because as you can see here, we just need to eliminate as many of these red lines as we can here on the left side of this screen, but we can't eliminate every single one because some of our big names do not have good personality traits, like Albie Dewberry, Benson Sandy, Black Bull. There are a couple guys with professional or quiet personality types that have been so negatively influenced that they're now currently a negative influence, but that I've got a little bit more faith in, like Bronson Fraley and Wayne Blankenship. But Super Demon, I'm not trying to lose the man. Yavraj Chanel, I keep going back and forth with whether I want to keep him or not, but you know what, there's not a better option on the free agent market right now. And I seriously just wasted 2 character ideas on Corey Edmonds just for him to walk out on the wham. That's super unfortunate, and now we're without a road agent. So what that means is we're going to have to hire this scumbag, Victor Garza, and hopefully he'll even come. We're going to have to pay his travel, which we didn't have to pay Corey Edmonds' travel originally. And Victor Garza did accept the contract, so hopefully his scumbag personality type doesn't mess us up too much. And guys, the hits just keep on coming, and they don't stop coming. Frank Norris has passed away. That is us, guys. That is our avatar. And Frank Norris never saw the day where he was able to upend his old friend turned foe, Don Loomis. How unfortunate. The man was 66. We didn't get long with him, but Frank Norris has now died. And now the Wham is in a serious need of a new owner and a new head booker. And the only person that could fill in the shoes of the now deceased Frank Norris, as sad as it is our very own Levi Andrews. We're gonna take over Levi Andrews, and he is going to be the one to take the Wham and do Frank Norris proud. Rest in peace, Frank Norris. But this episode has been full of twists that I have not been anticipating or expecting. I didn't think it was going to happen all this fast. But Levi Andrews, he's got the money. He's got the bankroll to take over Wham and all of its debt. So goodbye, Mr. Frank Norris. Man, that is sad that we have died. We, as Frank Norris, have died. But the sad fact about this instance and the sad fact about life is that the wheels will continue to turn, and we don't have time to stop for long. But the first edition of the amazing grappling spectacle post-Frank Norris is set to begin. The Levi Andrews era is about to start. And what that entails is no one getting the night off, and we have actually getting a similar amount of creative energy. Not quite the same, I don't think, with Frank Norris. Levi Andrews was the better booker. I think they're only getting like 10 creative energy less, maybe 20 or something like that. We of course are going to buy some character ideas where we get a near certainty and an all be dewberry big gamble, which we're going to say no thank you. And then we've got a near certainty. All right, those are better than the gambles that we're constantly getting. Kyson Mays provoked Victor Garza into a huge heated argument. We knew Victor Garza was going to be the center of controversy. He's not the one starting it this time, but we're going to fine Kyson Mays. He's annoyed at this action. Garza is pleased. Benson Sandy failed to show up for a scheduled meeting with the road agent, that being the scumbag Garza. We're going to fine him. Nothing noteworthy came from it. Super Demon got into a fight with Rahan Subtle, and we're just going to not take action against Super Demon, and Rahan Suttle's annoyed. This is his last night here, so whatever. Black Bull caused heat backstage with a mean-spirited rib. We're going to give him a stern warning. Black Bull is pleased. And then battle of the refs here between Kamari Bryant and Rahan Subtle. He's not happy about Rahan Subtle being the senior referee, but he's actually going to be rather pleased in about a month. So that's going to do it. We are going to inspire once again. Hopefully it doesn't penalize us because we did it last time. And they are fired up and buzzing with anticipation. All right, they got one 2 months in a row. How special are they? Big show in store, and it gets kicked off with the pre-show match of John Wolf and Randy Edson squaring off. Not a bad showing from these two rookies. John Wolf had an in-ring performance of 24. Randy Edson had an in-ring performance of 23. Victor Garza doesn't seem to be doing much better as road agent than Corey Edmonds did, as we get penalized there, and Rahan Subtle wasn't very good as referee, which hurt the match, and this is the final appearance for Rahan Subtle. For now, at least. I mean, will we ever see him again? Maybe. But for the time being, Rahan Subtle will be on his way to be exclusive to Viva La Lucha. But to open up our show, we've got Black Bull and Levi Andrews. Levi Andrews, who is now taken place as owner of the Wham, has announced to the crowd that the show will continue to run after the passing of Frank Norris. He pleads the crowd not to grieve any longer, as he is here to bring entertainment upon them. Black Bull would make his way to the ring, seeming to offer his protective services to Levi Andrews, much like he had with Frank Norris. Levi Andrews would blow Black Bull off, seeing he is emotionally distraught, but did not hesitate to bring him down. Levi Andrews informs Black Bull that he has no use for Bull in that capacity, as he has already enlisted an enforcer to fill that spot. The new owner would then go on to announce that his new enforcer will be making his debut against Black Bull right now. Segment at 35, not too bad to get the night going. Our match, Blue Mage. He's rusty, so that didn't help his ratings out. We got a segment rating of 16, Blue Mage had an in-ring performance of 15, and Black Bull had an in-ring performance of 24. Now, who is Blue Mage, you may ask? Blue Mage is a 6'7", gimmicked up big man. He is similar to Black Bull, but not quite. And so this is Black Bull's contrast right now. And Black Bull is having a little bit of an identity crisis, and the person filling his spot certainly is going to mess with his psyche a little bit. But Blue Mage picks up the victory over Black Bull in another loss for Black Bull in a terrible wild brawl, according to our report here. So not the best match to introduce Blue Mage. The man is rusty. That is the risk you run picking up these free agents. You don't know how long they've been into the system, and we don't have a ton of independent shows going on. But I digress. Segment rating of 16 for our first match. And to finish off this little bit, Levi Andrews celebrates with Blue Mage, his choice as new enforcer and special attraction, and this would leave Black Bull seething in anger. In our next match, we've got Benson Sandy and Charlie Thompson. Again, not the best match, unfortunately. Charlie Thompson's gimmick is getting stale, so we're going to have to address that. But Benson Sandy, another in-ring performance of 30. Nicely done here for Benson Sandy. And he actually defeats Charlie Thompson in 740 with the side suplex, and that makes a few victories in a row for our man Benson Sandy here. In the next segment, we've got Bronson Fraley paying tribute to Frank Norris in the ring, vowing that he will fulfill Norris's vision for the company and continue his title reign in Norris's honor. Levi Andrews would hurry this segment along towards the end, and he kind of just telling him to wrap it up. Just more ego from Levi Andrews. Segment rating of 34. Then in our next match, these junior heavyweights continue to do work. You love to see it. and Albie Dewberry with another great performance, this time getting an in-ring performance of 41. Now you see Albie Dewberry and Blankenship, you would probably assume the victory would go to that side. However, Albie Dewberry and Wayne Blankenship this time, they do not work as well as they did previously. Wayne Blankenship and Albie Dewberry, they get into a little bit of an argument on their side of the ring. They're working the match pretty well. It is a competitive match because Kyson Mays and Super Demon are formidable competitors. But Wayne Blankenship is mouthing off to Albie Dewberry, and then Albie Dewberry, he shoves Wayne Blankenship, taking Wayne Blankenship back, and then Super Demon capitalizes, scoring the pin and picking up the victory for his team. And now this also gives Super Demon a pinfall victory onto a prominent contender here. So this junior heavyweight championship is garnering quite the collection of contenders. And then in our main event, we've got Friedrich Herzog and Neil Allman in a segment rating of 31. Neil Allman with an in-ring performance of 34 and Friedrich Herzog with an in-ring performance of 38. So not a bad job from either of them here. And we do have one final segment to the end of the night, and it's just some faces reiterating the fact that they are baby faces. And Neil Allman and Friedrich Herzog shake hands in a show of respect between the two competitors as the show comes to a close. And despite the tension and bad blood, they make a notion of remembrance of Frank Norris. Rest in peace, Frank Norris. So this gets a segment rating of 32 to end the show, and our show overall gets a rating of 31. I will definitely take staying up in the 30. This wasn't even the best show. The undercard was a little weaker, especially with the ratings. You know, Blue Mage and Black Bull did not have a good match. But Levi Andrews will be able to carry us through quite a few matches and quite a few segments. We're going to give Friedrich Herzog and Albie Dewberry positive reinforcement for their work. We're down $400 from this show as our workers become more expensive, and I think it's largely in part because of our avatar now being Levi Andrews, so we're paying more than $20 an appearance for him. Well, you know, it says we're only paying $10 per show, so considering this is us now, I think we might just move closer to the Wham. We have now moved. All right, we're not paying for that travel anymore. We're still at $10 per show, so that is a good thing. Hopefully that helps with our contract situation. Rahan Suttle has worked his final show with the Wrestling Association of the Mid-South. And remember, this guy started at a 0 rating, and he is now at a 26 referee skill. That is some serious progress. You know, we definitely went through some bumps with this dude, but he is going to be a reputable referee when he becomes an old man. That's for sure. He might be one of the best even, but we're saying goodbye to him now. And as dramatic events continue to happen, Monaghan's Marvelous Wrestling were forced to tap out as the pressure of a financial stranglehold finally became too much to bear. Man, that must suck. And so Monaghan's Marvelous Wrestling is now no more. And that is a ton of workers over in the British Isles that are going to be out of work. Frank Norris is qualified to be inducted into the Wham Hall of Fame. Absolutely. As the company is under my control, it is my choice whether or not to complete the induction or not. We're definitely going to put the man in the Hall of Fame. I didn't know you could do it so soon, honestly. And here we are, Frank Norris being inducted into the Hall of Fame. There we go, 1927, the very first man inducted into the Hall of Fame for the Wham. You gotta love it. And what a way to have Frank Norris immortalized. We're rearing to go for our next event, the Amazing Grappling Spectacle 29. Everything's taken care of except for these dang locker room incidents. Neil Allman is starting to change Blue Mage's personality. We don't want that. Neil Allman is a mercenary, negatively impacting the locker room, whereas Blue Mage very much positively impacts the locker room, so we do not need a change there. Kamari Bryant was brought before the wrestler's court, and it had, fortunately for us, these have a small positive impact. And then Kyson Mays caused a mean-spirited rib on Victor Garza. It's gonna hurt the rest of the locker room. Victor Garza is pleased. Frankie Ashby failed to show up for a scheduled meeting. We're gonna fine him. He's unhappy at the action. Charlie Thompson is not happy at the decision. We just cannot please these guys, my goodness. We're gonna go to pull a rib. We're just gonna pull a minor rib. on Blue Mage, it failed to provide any positive or negative effects at all. The night gets started with a pre-show match, August Washburn, Randy Edson getting the ears wet a little bit. August Washburn coming out on top with a victory here, only get a segment rating of 16. Moving into the next match, Benson Sandy trying to get a good match out of John Wolf. Not a great match out of John Wolf. However, John Wolf does pick up the victory over Benson Sandy, and Benson Sandy has been on quite the roll as of late. Frankie Ashby coming in, getting a distraction. The fans didn't like the distraction ending as the match, but the fans are going to have to deal with it because the bootleggers are making an impact, causing a distraction for Benson Sandy. And how do they do that? They actually take out Bryant Hines. So they start beating up Bryant Hines, and that is what causes Benson Sandy to turn his attention from John Wolf. And John Wolf isn't necessarily a part of the bootleggers by any means, but he's a fresh face, and he's got to take advantage and pick up that victory any way he can. So John Wolf picks up what I believe is his first victory here. Now we've got a segment rating of 30 in this next match between Levi Andrews and RT Lincoln. Levi Andrews picks up the victory, 34 in-ring performance, RT Lincoln in-ring performance of 23. Blue Mage did some good job ringside, and the match got the crowd hotter. It is white hot. So we see good performances from both. RT Lincoln, pretty solid when he's got a capable worker with him. And Levi Andrews, not too bad there, although we know his in-ring work is not his strong suit. Another bit that gets a segment rating of 30, and Levi Andrews was quick to celebrate and work the crowd following his victory. Black Bull then made a beeline to Levi Andrews, seemingly in an attempt to earn a shot to be his enforcer, strangely enough. Levi Andrews couldn't exactly tell what Bull was saying, but he understood the message. Levi Andrews would inform Black Bull that he'll get one more opportunity to prove himself tonight. And then we get a segment rating of 25 as these two enter the ring area before the match starts in our next match. Blankenship and Dewberry getting set to spectate this junior heavyweight division action. And that junior heavyweight division action is between Super Demon and Kyson Mays. These two have good chemistry with one another. However, segment rating of 18, not exactly what we're looking for. Although, Super Demon picks up the victory over Kyson Mays in 7 minutes 49 seconds, gets a quick roll-up, and now each one of these guys that we've seen in the last couple of weeks involved in the junior heavyweight division has gotten a crucial victory somewhere along the line. Unfortunately, this match only nets us a segment rating of 18, but we're going to move on. Albie Dewberry and Wayne Blankenship then have another confrontation after the match. They meet in the ring. Albie Dewberry, very aware of the tension between the two, grabs a mic and challenges Wayne Blankenship to explain himself rather than to try to intimidate him. Blankenship states is very simple. Dewberry won the title and even won Blankenship's respect, but asked Albie Dewberry if he really thought Blankenship wasn't going to come for a rematch. Dewberry did not have the chance to answer, as the two would begin to brawl shortly after. Segment rating of 22, and Blankenship making it clear, I want my rematch. And now our main event, another solid performance from our main event guys Neil Ullman and Friedrich Herzog. They've been workhorses as of late. They get a segment rating of 31 as Blue Mage and Black Bull take part in this tag team action. Now we had to squeeze Neil Ullman and Friedrich Herzog being together a little bit because they have great chemistry. We got to utilize that with Alexander Keith leaving us. But it was a decent match. Neil Ullman and Friedrich Herzog pick up the victory, and Friedrich Herzog causes Black Bull to submit. And this does not look good for Black Bull, let me tell you, in his pursuit to be Levi Andrews' right-hand man. And Blue Mage didn't have a bad showing. He actually had an in-ring performance of 31, and Black Bull had the lowest in-ring performance of this bunch. But after the match, Bronson Fraley, displaying a level of aggression that has not been seen in the WHAM, enters the ring and attacked both Neil Ullman and Friedrich Herzog. The champion was surprisingly able to bring both men down when he used what didn't look like brass knucks, but we'll call them brass knucks anyway. Shout out Wrestling Bios. The show would come to an end with the champion standing tall, and he got a segment rating of 24. Not too bad, crowd rating at very hot. So overall rating, 29. We are missing Alexander Keith, that's not a lie. And Frank Norris dying really threw a wrench in some of my storylines and my plans. I know we didn't have a ton of time with him, but I thought we'd have more time than what we got. But that's the way life goes, unfortunately. We've got TEW teaching us life lessons here. But not a bad show overall. And we're going to give our big boys Bronson Fraley and Friedrich Herzog some positive reinforcement. We did have to move the ticket prices up to normal, resulting in a much lower audience of only 76 people, and our overall loss is just under $300. So we were getting real close to cutting down our debt, and now we're having trouble staying afloat here. But it has been an extremely eventful episode, and we're going to call it there. We had workers walk out, we had owners die, we had companies close down. There were a ton of things that happened here, and a ton of things that we're going to continue to work through. So shout out to the real ones on Patreon: In Your Face 16, Felicity Rosalia, Supreme King, Douglas91, Daniel Silva, Mr. Drago, I Am Tubes, and Matthew UKP. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for your continued support. I appreciate you. And for everyone else, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take it easy.